So this is Friday Night Live, the Saturday morning edition. I hope you're all well. I know it's early, so I'm not sure how many people are going to get on this live at 8 o'clock, but I have some more work to do a little bit later, and in case it was nice, I scheduled this so you'd have the bulk of your day ahead of you. Clearly it's not nice, so it's a perfect day to be in the stamp room. I'm calling up my, sorry if my hand's in the way, I'm calling up my Facebook page on my iPad so I can make sure that I'm seeing comments. Make sure you say hello if you're jumping on this morning. It's, I think, supposed to get to a high of 48 today, which is very yucky. But anyway, we're going to get started with this. Let me just adjust this a little bit so I can make sure I'm in the frame. So this is the card we're going to do this morning. And it's a nautical theme card, which is great for the kickoff of summer in Maine. So summer, I know, does not start until June. It's always right around it's on my husband's birthday, usually June 20th, sometimes 21st, I think. But when you live in coastal Maine, the tourist season officially starts this weekend, Memorial Day weekend, and goes through Labor Day weekend. So this, for me, is summer. So we're going to use this card, and I want to show you where I got my inspiration. So the inspiration for this card came from page 26 of the annual catalog. And this set is Enjoy the Moment, which is a wonderful set. It's great for masculine cards, feminine cards, all sorts of cards. But this sample right up here is where I got the idea. I just love the layout. It shows you a technique. I'm going to show you the technique of the torn paper look. I've adjusted it a little bit so there's a little bit less white. I like a little less white on mine. But I wanted to point out that your catalog is a great source of inspiration. Just because you don't have a particular stamp set, like I don't have this stamp set yet, I have a feeling at some point I may break down and get it because I really have seen some great things with it. Just because you don't have a particular stamp set, you can certainly adapt what you have. And so that's what we're going to do for this card. And you can make a few changes. I've made a few changes on mine. But let's get started. So this is the card we're going to do. Again, it's going to be a little bit different. I've made some measurement adjustments. But let's get started. So you will need a card base of Knight of Navy, 5.5, 8.5, scored in half at 4 1/4. And then I have a piece of Misty Moonlight cardstock, which if you look in my sample, it's smaller by probably 1/2 inch at least. And then you need a piece, so this one measures, this one measures 5.5 by 2 3/4. This white piece is 5.5 by 2, I believe, yes, 2. You'll need a scrap piece of cardstock, and then I pulled out a piece of, just a little scrap of Pool Party that is 1/2 inch wide. And I'm not going to need one this long. And then I have a piece of white for the inside. So this features the torn paper technique. So you're going to need a piece of scrap paper. I'm going to just use, this is actually, I don't know, something I printed off for one of my downline. And I don't need it anymore. So you're going to tear, and I try to tear in somewhat of a straight line, but not totally straight. It's hard to tear in a straight line anyway. So I've got that edge right there, and I've got this edge down here. Take the piece that you're going to be creating on, and you need to mask off the parts that you want to stay white. I'm going to take some Post-its here. I have 5 gazillion Post-it pads on my desk somewhere. I need to make sure this piece doesn't move, so I'm just going to take a little teeny tiny bit of adhesive. Ooh, almost out on this one. Just a tiny, tiny bit. And actually, I probably should put it in 2 places so it doesn't wiggle. I'll even take a little bit of the tackiness off so I can get it off later. And I'm lining it up here. I'm just putting it up. Now, my torn edge here, I'm going to decide which part of the torn edge I like. And if it's a little bit too zigzaggy for you, you can just tear off a little bit more. There we go, something like that. I'm going to hold this in place with a Post-it. Now you don't want to put the Post-it anywhere on your white cardstock, because that will defeat the purpose. So I'm going to put this other one up here, and I'm just looking to make sure I'm not covering up too much of that white cardstock. I really just want a little bit peeking through. We used to have a repositionable glue, liquid glue, that I used for this, but we don't carry it anymore. So now what I want to do is I want to stamp my, I could stamp my background last. I want to put a layer of color in here, and so for that I've used Pool Party and Misty Moonlight. I'm going to grab my Pool Party out and take my blending brush, and I'm just going to, in nice circular motion, add some color here. In just different areas. And it's okay if it's a little splotchy, it's okay if it's darker in some areas than others. So I'm just sort of haphazardly putting it in different places. All right, who has joined me? Make sure you say hello. Oh, there we go. We've got our Pool Party on there. Now I'm going to take my microfiber cloth and just get some of that Pool Party off. My cat was just laying on the Pool Party. I'm on the microfiber cloth. I don't think he appreciated me taking it from him. Oh well. Good morning, Linda. Nice to have you with us. So now I'm putting my Misty Moonlight in the white spaces. If you want a third color, or I should say lack of color, presence of many colors, whatever, you can leave some white spots. And I just swiped my finger over that ink pad, so hopefully that doesn't come back to haunt me. So here we go. We're getting there. So we've got just a blend of a couple different colors in there. I'm going to close up that ink pad. And now I want to add my stamped images. I'm not going to remove the torn edges yet because I want my images that I'm going to stamp also to fall off that page. I'm going to use items from the Sailing Home set. I thought a nautically inspired Theme would be great for the unofficial start of summer in coastal Maine and New Hampshire for you, Linda. So I'll mount these on a few blocks. And these images are a little bit bigger than I would probably normally use for this technique, but I thought it worked okay, so I went with it. You're just going to ink it up in your Night of Navy and stamp randomly. And I say stamp randomly, but technically it's not very random because I am sort of deciding where it goes. It's okay if your images overlap a bit. You do want to vary the angles though, because that helps with the interest. And I think I need a little bit more something right here. All right, and now it's time really for the big reveal. Let me just clean up my stamps before I move along, because if I don't, I have a feeling I'm gonna get my hands and my arms on an inked stamp. That's not how I want to accessorize my outfit today. All right, so there we go. My stamps are clean. Now, ready for the big reveal. Take off my Post-its. And so now I have this piece right here. And that white just makes it pop, I think. I really, really love this technique. It's one I haven't used for quite a while. So when I saw that in the catalog, I thought, oh, yeah, I need to get back to that. That was kind of a fun and easy technique. I will go ahead and stamp right now my background on my Misty Moonlight. I wanted to, so in the catalog, they've used a patterned paper in the background, probably whatever is the in color neutrals. I'm not in color. No, in color designer series paper, and I didn't have any Misty Moonlight in that, and which is what I wanted to use, so I'm going to make my own. I'm going to take the bird stamp that is in Sailing Home and use that. Here are my little birds, and I'm just going to stamp right on the Misty Moonlight, but I don't think I'm going to stamp in Misty Moonlight. Well, let's see what that looks like. I don't know if I want to do it in Misty Moonlight, if I want a darker image and put it in Night of Navy. Yeah, that's dark enough for me. I just want a subtle look. So I'm going to stamp some birds flying right across the top here. And I'll do the same thing at the bottom. Now remember, you want your birds in the same direction, so you don't want to flip it over to put it at the top, because then they'll be upside down. And fill in a little bit in a couple spots here. Let's see how this looks. Oh yeah, that looks great. In fact, I can now mount these two pieces together. I think it's a little crooked. Let's just move this down a little bit. Okay, that looks good. In this sample, you'll notice they've got that background. Theirs is obviously wider than mine. I wanted to tweak it for how I liked it. And then they have this focal point here that is one of the larger images in the set. So I decided to grab the largest image in the Sailing Home set, which is the lighthouse. I'm going to need a larger block to mount that on. So here we have a big block, and I have a scrap piece of basic white cardstock. Hi Sheila, nice to have you this morning. Cleaning my bird stamp right now, and actually didn't do a very good job of that off camera, and I'm glad I was off camera because you didn't see that. Oh, look at, I got more ink on my fingers than I did on the stamp cleaner. I will be stamping in Night of Navy for the lighthouse. I just want the darker image. Here we go. And I will be cutting this out, so I don't need to worry about whether or not it's straight. That's good enough. While I'm here, I'm going to be making this a birthday card. So while I'm here and I have my ink pad out, I might as well go ahead and stamp the birthday greeting. And I have somebody in mind for this birthday card. I've got a few birthdays in the month of June. A lot of birthdays in the month of June, actually. So in this set, in the Sailing Home set, there really is not a birthday greeting. So I just pulled out my art gallery set that has happy birthday in there. And I'll use that instead of one of the Sailing Home sentiments. And I'm going to stamp this on the right side of my piece of pool party. Good. All right. I'll put this away. I always like to put especially these little skinny greetings away because they're so easy to lose. All right. Now I'm ready to cut this piece out. I'll set that aside. Get my mini Stamp and Emboss ready to go. I need my little white plate, and I need one of the cutting plates. And keep my dies in with this set. Not all dies fit in the stamp set as they are. Some of them are wider, but I love it when they do set in there nicely. I just go ahead and take advantage of that, so I can be reminded that there's a matching piece. Now with these longer skinny ones, and it's a little bit bent, so I'm going to actually use a little bit of washi tape. You can use Post-it. I could use that Post-it stuff that I was just using to hold it down. In fact, why don't I show you that? Just put it over. Gotta put the sticky over the top though. Oh, I just moved it. Okay, put the sticky over the top, and you're good to go. Put our little other cutting plate on there. And we'll just send it through. Let's see how we did. I'm a little off to the side when I line these things up, so it's always a guess for me when I'm stamping or when I'm die cutting to see if I've actually got it lined up appropriately. All right, so just carefully move the tape. Yep, that's pretty good. I'll keep it. Okay, Stamp and Cut and Emboss away. So now we just need to assemble the card. We have our card base here. And see how nicely it looks on that Night of Navy, but of course that's not what we're doing here. I need to determine where I want to position this. Do I want to position it evenly in the middle, a little bit to the top? I like it sneaking just a little bit north of center. I'll put some adhesive on the back of this. And so just a little bit north of center. So there we go. Look at how those colors really pop just because of that exposed white. Now I'll take my dimensionals out and put those on my lighthouse. I'm going to put one in the middle too, just because it's so long and skinny. I don't want it to sag in the middle. All right. I dropped it. All right, so here we have this right there. We'll bring in our sentiment, and our sentiment's going to stick over in here. And when I dropped it, I actually touched my paper and got a little blue spot on there. So I'm going to actually run that right there. All I need to do is, let's see, I want to cut this at an angle or a flag. In the sample, it was an angle, but I don't know if I want an angle or not. Well, let's go ahead and just do an angle. It'll be easier than flagging it. And so we can put this right there. I will actually put that up on dimensionals as well. Do I want it to go over the top or underneath? I want it to go underneath. Put a little bit of, a couple dimensionals there. And there is the front of our happy birthday card. Just need to do something on the inside. And you can do this, a similar technique. You know, you can go ahead and take your piece of typing paper. You want to, it doesn't matter what kind of paper you use. The regular copy paper works great because it tears so easily. So that's what I would actually recommend. Again, for those of you who are just joining us, in the beginning, I mentioned you want to kind of anchor this down a little bit to whatever you're working on, because you're going to be rubbing some ink on it and moving it around. So you want to have it anchored pretty well. I'm going to actually just do the bottom of this. So let's go ahead. I'm using a Post-it note to hold this down on top. And yeah, okay. So I'd already cleaned my brush, which, you know, if I'd been thinking, I should have done the inside layer at the same time. Let's go ahead and get my pool party back out. Get some ink up on there. Just add my splotches wherever I want. And to whatever depth of color I want. Now I can switch to the Misty Moonlight. I'm gonna just clean my brush off a little bit. Switch to the Misty Moonlight and fill in some of those gaps. I got a little heavy-handed right there, but it's going to be okay because this is not all that you're going to see. We're going to get back out our stamps. So this is probably one reason why it's probably not a great idea for me to stamp on a Saturday morning. I'm apparently still waking up and not thinking about how best to use my time. Get my Night of Navy ink out. Mary Ellen and Nicole are joining us. Good morning, ladies. I'll put a couple of those images on. Oh, I don't want to close this up yet. I need a couple more images. Let's see, I need my rope. And that doesn't fit on there, so we'll put it on here. Let's see. I have my rope going this way, maybe this way over here. I don't want to close that up again. I want to add one more element, and that's going to be my compass. That's what I had on the front. I'm going to clean my stamps. I think I actually I just put my elbow in this one as it was sitting on my desk. So my thought to clean my stamps was just a tad bit late. We'll put this on here. And again, we're ready for the reveal. I think this is one of the techniques that it's one of those things it's so much fun to do that reveal because it's just so striking. I'll take this piece off and take this piece off. And so there you have a lovely little matching bottom for the inside. We'll just bring our card back in. One of these days I'm going to run out of my Stampin' Seal live, and I'll show you live how to change it. It's very easy. And I'm not quite sure yet what I'm going to put for a sentiment on the inside. I'm just going to leave that. But this is our card, a nice nautically themed card for the start of summer in Maine.